Hi and welcome back everyone. This is our 9th lesson of our free complete beginner to advanced Excel course. Now, if you're new here and maybe this is your first time learning onto this YouTube channel and you have seen these classes for the first time, I am Godfrey Birungi from Open Training Camp and I've trained thousands of people how to use Microsoft Office applications productively and efficiently at their workplaces. Now, in this particular lesson, we're going to be learning everything that you need to know about finding and replacing things inside of Microsoft Excel. I'm going to be starting off with some basic function formulas that we can write to find and replace things inside of Microsoft Excel. And towards the end of the class, we shall also cover some of the advanced formulas and functions as well as tools that we can use to find and replace things inside of Microsoft Excel. And please don't forget, we shall also touch our favorite find and replace dialog box, exploring its advanced tools that you might not have yet used at the moment. Now, I'm going to be heading over to my laptop and open Microsoft Excel so that we can start off with the replace function. But before I do that, if you'd like to grab the training files and the workbooks used in this class, please check the link in the description of this video so that you can grab the files to follow along. All right, now that you have grabbed the files, let's head over into Excel and start off writing the replace function. In our small table that we have here, this is the old text. We want to create a new text, and we don't want to use the find and replace dialog box here. We can use a function called replace to do that. Okay, I say equals, I open the replace function. It will ask for me these arguments here. Oh, it has mandatory arguments. You must supply the old text, the start number, and the number of characters, and also the new text string. All of them are mandatory. So I'll say this is the old text that I want you to work with. The second argument is start number. Where do we want to start from? We want to start from the third, where there is this asterisk that we want to replace. We want to start from the third. That is the second argument. And the number of characters. The number of characters that we want to replace. How many? We only want to do one. And how about the new text that we want to punch there? Of course, we can do a 3 just to make sure that the number completes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can close this one off, enter on the keyboard, and there you go. You can see this one gives me 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have just replaced the asterisk or a character that we never wanted in this particular entire text string by using a function this time. But of course, we could do this using the find and replace. Okay, let's move forward. We can use the replace function here and test. We have a number of characters here. The asterisks now we have in this particular text string are more than 1. Still, that one has no problem. I say I'm going to be working with this text, and I want to start from the first occurrence of the character that I want to eliminate. That's the one that I've punched onto the start number argument. Then I say the number of characters. This time, I'm eliminating 3 of them, like so. And the new text, I can declare the new text here. So I'll say 2, 3, 4. Those are the numbers that are missing to complete this entire text string. I can close this replace function from here. This one still returns an asterisk in between. So we can change this. So this is where the mistake is. We are supposed to have a 2 here, like so. So once we get a 2 here, because this particular asterisk is actually sitting in the second position, but for me, I had done a 1, which eliminates our 1, which we want to maintain. So let us do a 2 here. And when I hit enter, this one should fix the problem. Should be getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like so. All right. So let us do the same here. We want to remove these 2 digits that we are seeing here. Of course, this particular record of value has been saved as text, even though they are numbers. You can see they are aligning to the left. They are actually numbers, but they have been saved as text. That's why the text function called replace is able to work on them. Otherwise, it may not have worked. And you can double check that from the formula bar. You can see we actually had coded in a single quote here to make sure that it converts into a text. Okay. So let us write the same function here. I'll say equals replace. I want to make sure that I replace the first two characters. Who can give us the syntax?
Sir, if all text will be B5, sir, and then comma, sir. Start number will be, sir, 3.
Let us move forward. The number of characters, how many?
Sir, 2, sir.
I said 2. Then the new text?
Sir, will be, sir, empty, inverted commas open and close.
Empty like so.
Yes, sir, empty. Sir, bracket close, sir.
I close the brackets and hit enter key on the keyboard. Let us cross our fingers if this one works. But in case we get an error, nothing to worry about. We have to remain confident, okay? So I hit enter key on the keyboard and there you go. This is what we are getting from our colleague, 99345.
Yeah. Thing is, instead of 3, you should put 1, maybe. Instead of 3, no? When we put 1, maybe it will correct, no?
So let us change this one to a 1, and this will give us our new text. All right, so you can see the replace function can come in handy to support you if you do not want to actually use the find and replace. Let us look at another example here, assuming that you actually wanted to replace this product code here. Maybe you want to create a new product code. So what we want literally is to change this one from BL to BPC, like so. And then the rest will remain the same, like this, JKL, and then 789. Who can do this for us?
Can I share? We shall use the equals replace. Then our old text is this. And then our start number is going to be, we are starting with the first. And then number characters we want to replace, there are 2. And then the new text, I'm going to put it in quotes. We want to put BC. We can close this quote and close the bracket and hit enter.
All right, that's fantastic. You can drag that particular formula, the rest of the cells, like so. All right, now let's move forward. I will share my screen one more time. Thank you, Taban Oliver. So let us touch the find and the search function. How do they work? Okay, and I did mention here on the side notes that find function and the search function almost does exactly the same thing. They find things. Let us open and define this function here. I'll say find. Let us do find first. So this one returns the starting position of one text string within another text string. And then they say at the end, find is case sensitive. But we need to demonstrate this practically and see that case sensitivity kind of thing. How does it make it differ from the search? Okay. But when I punch here the search function, they also say it returns the number of characters at which a specific character or text string is first found. And it's not case sensitive. But let us demonstrate that. If I have a text string that I want to replace, just as an example, I could come here and say, I come to NSL and say equals find. Then I can declare what am I finding. For example, I'll be finding character A. Let me just use this basic example. I'll be finding character A. Where are we searching it from? We are searching it from this particular text string, which we have called CBA. And the start number is an optional argument. We shall not declare the start number. We want the find function to bump into the first occurrence of character A in this entire text string CBA and tell us the position. That's the work it does. So let us close this one from here and say enter, and it tells us, or it gives us a 3, which simply means that it has located this particular character A inside this text string, and it has found it to be sitting in position number 3. So it's up to us how we want to use this 3 that is being returned by the find. I will show you as we advance and start nesting these functions together, we shall see why we may need to use the find function or the search function. But basically, from the basics, that's how it works. All right. Now let us write this particular find and search functions here. We are going to be locating this text inside this entire text string. I'll use the find here. I'll say equals find. What are we finding? Let us point it over to the cell address D3. Within which text? Of course, we want to point it over to this cell address, and we shall close it off from here. So what do we expect here? When we hit enter key, this one tells us 4. It has actually walked through this entire text string from my text, from my space text, and it tells us that this particular text string starts from the 4th character, the 4th position. So we can confirm letter M, Y is the 2nd character. This space here that you're seeing in between this text string is also considered a character on its own. So the space is character number 3, and T, because this is the letter that starts our keyword here, that's why it is telling us that this particular text is starting from position number 4. Let us do the search. I say equals search, and what are we searching for? Of course, we are searching for this text, or I can actually use this cell address here, and within this text string, close off, enter. This one also gives us a 4. Now, where could be the difference between these two functions? Write these two functions one more time. I will actually eliminate the results that we have here and say equals find. This time we are finding this text, comma. Let us use this second record. I will tell you what the results we shall get here and why. When I hit enter key, what do we expect?
An error.
We expect an error. We expect an error. And this error is called the hash value exclamation mark. Why? Remember, we started by saying that the find function is case sensitive. This is a small t and this is a capital T. So it is case sensitive. Let us do the search here. I say search, and then I search for what? I'm searching for this text here within this text string. And when I close, the search will still tell us I've found this particular text string and it is sitting in position number 4. So the search function doesn't care. A letter remains a letter and a word is always a word. So it will always return. But the find function is always case sensitive. But again, there is a fix that we can work out here. I have put the lower and the upper. These are all text functions here. So if we want to eliminate this error, we can still use our text functions here, lower and upper, inside our function to make sure that we still get the same result. So let us write it here. See, we can use the lower function. I'll say equals find. So I'll say lower of my lookup value, which is the text that I have here, and close. Within, I also open the lower function. So when I open the lower function, I point it over to this text here that we think has issues with small letters and capital letters. And I can close this particular function from here. When I hit enter key, this time it will work. Similarly, we can do an upper. I can say equals, then I say find, and then I say upper. I can make sure that both my lookup value and this particular text string are all converted in the process. So when I say upper and I point over to the lookup value, this will be converted to upper. Okay? Upper cases. Within what? I say upper. Make sure that you convert from my lookup value, and I close this one and enter. This will still return the position regardless of whether there is this limitation of capitals and small letters. Okay? So that's how we can fix that. I believe you have picked the difference. Now, we have web addresses in one of our columns here. So what we want to achieve here is to make sure that we replace the HTTPS and the full colon, as well as these double forward slashes, whatever they are, so that we can remain with www.thedomainname.com, just as an example. So that's what we want to do. We want to use the find and replace functions together. Let us first find, so that when we get the results of the find function, we shall know how to introduce the replace, because we know what the replace function needs. Okay? We shall be looking for www, like so. So we want the find function to tell us where in this entire text string does www start from. It will give us a number. I'll say comma, within which text? Of course, within this particular text right there. And I can close this one off. Hit enter key on the keyboard, and it tells me that ww starts from the 9th
position. Now, after we get that clue, what we can do is to introduce our replace function. We can just double click this formula and introduce the replace function at the beginning. I will say replace. And for the old text that we are looking for, of course, will be this particular text right here. And the start number, of course, the replace function requires that we give it the position where it should start from, say from the first position, and the number of characters will be delivered by the find. And what is the new text? Of course, I'll come at the end and say, comma, our new text will be nothing. We won't replace with blank. So how do we say blank or nothing in Excel? Open quotes and close quotes. I can close this function from here. And when I hit enter key, of course, you can see the results that I get, but I'm not very sure whether this is the intended results. Can someone spot what could be missing? We are only getting 2 W's instead of the 3 because we are actually starting from the 9th position itself. So what we do to trick Excel is I can come in here and do -1 like so. Once I do that, I'll get my 3 W's showing up right there. Now I can double click and send everything down. Now let us switch over to the substitute function. I'll say equals substitute, just to read what it actually does from the definition that Microsoft gives us here. Replaces existing text with the new text in a text string. We have a simple task in this data set, and the task here is very simple. Look for wherever there is this things pop, I think this is things pop something, it's a genre, because this data set is something related to music. We want to replace it with, or to add in a hyphen and make sure that our first P is capitalized. How do we do it? Of course, we need to add another column here, just next to the genre. So I'll just add a column here, like so. And I can replicate this. And then I write my particular substitute function. I say equals substitute. The text that I want to substitute, of course, will be anything that is sitting in this particular column. The old text has been given to us. It is, let me just get the spelling correct here, synth. And we're going to be replacing it with synth with a hyphen, and then POP, like so. I'll close the double quotes, and I may not declare the instance number. I'll show you how the instance number can be used as an argument, but it is optional for the substitute function. And hit enter key on the keyboard, and I get an error right there. Why am I getting an error? Yes, exactly. You can say I added the closing double quotes. I need to reintroduce at the beginning right there and enter on the keyboard the way it is. I can double click and send this one down, and then we check. Do we have anywhere we have gotten this particular replacement? And we need to investigate why.
For me working, I tried the same, but for maybe the S you started maybe in the uppercase. That's why maybe. The after C6 there's an S, no, you put small letter, maybe it may be capital letter, because I put capital letter, for me it's coming.
Oh yes, so that means that the substitute function is case sensitive. Absolutely. Sensitive. So I'll add the capital here from the first record, and there you go. Double click to send this one down, and it works. Let's see how we can use the substitute with the instance number argument. I'll come over to this particular text right there, and we need to do something small here. Now, in this small data set, of course, it's an extract from this particular data. Again, there's a misspelling somewhere here. You can see this particular album has been named the Assassination the Julius Caesar. We want to actually make it proper. Okay, we want to replace the album called the Assassination the Julius Caesar with what? With the assassination of Julius Caesar. We want to do that using the substitute function, and we want to touch the instance number argument. How do we do that? Let me just add a column right here, and I use my substitute function. I say equals substitute. Where is my text? That is the first argument. Of course, this is the text that I want to substitute something in. And the old text that I want to deal with, of course, is I want to replace wherever there is the. So I'll open quotes and say the, And the new text that I want is of. I want to replace whatever there is the with of, so that the sentence clears the assassination of Julius Caesar instead of the assassination the Julius Caesar. That seems a little bit wrong. And when I close this function from here, watch what happens. The first the at the beginning and the second the in between, all of them have been replaced. So the text reads of assassination of Julius Caesar. That's wrong. That's why we have the instance number argument. That's how it comes into play. So we can double click this formula, and at the end here, of course, this particular keyword that I supplied here could appear a number of times in a text string. If it is appearing like 3 times or 4 times or 5 times and so on and so forth, you can declare which one do you want to replace. So it becomes a little bit customizable. So let's declare that we're interested in the second occurrence. We want to maintain the first the, but eliminate the second occurrence of the. So I'll say 2 and then hit enter key on the keyboard, and this one clears. You can see the assassination of Julius Caesar. It has now cleared. Let's move forward. Now, how can we use the substitute function? I have another small task here. I believe this is very easy. So what we want, we have the original text right here, and we want to introduce some few characters within here. Maybe I could try this. I'll say equals substitute, and this is the text that I want to work with. Sorry, I'm looking for that space. So I'll open and close my space, and I want to introduce the hyphen like so. And the instance number, of course, I can close this one. I will try the instance number argument later. So when I do that, you can see this particular text will change. Or if we want to test the instance argument, we can come here at the end and maybe say we only want to, replace the first space and the rest should remain intact. I could just say 1 and then say okay. Once I do that, you can see the hyphen has been added just from the first occurrence of that space, and the second occurrence has not been touched. So you can use those arguments in your favor depending on the situation that you're dealing with. Okay, now let us do this replacement here very quickly. We use our substitute function knowledge. So I'll open the substitute function. I need to select the text, comma, and the old text will be my full stops, comma, and the new text, I will open the double quotes here and introduce. Oh, I can say nothing. Let me just remove them entirely and hit enter key on the keyboard. You can see for this particular first record, I still maintain my commas. And now when I drag down, you can see these other numbers, we have eliminated the full stops. Okay. Now, if I want to eliminate the commas, I open another substitute function here. I'll say substitute function. And the text that I'm going to be dealing with this time is this text that is being delivered by the first substitute function that I wrote. Now, what I can do is to come at the end and say the old text that I'm dealing with this time will be the commas, like so. And I'll be replacing them with full stops. Let's do this and close the substitute from here and hit enter key on the keyboard. Now you can see the first record has now changed. It's no longer showing 80,00. It's now 80.00. And now I can drag this down like so. There you go. Of course, these numbers are still showing as text. I can introduce the value function to make sure that I convert these numbers, from text to numbers, like so. I wrap the entire stuff into the value function, and I can drag this formula down, and there you go. Because, of course, I had a format here. I believe this was currency format. That's why you're seeing the dollar symbol has been added. But again, you can go ahead and reduce the decimals like so, or you can actually leave the decimals showing. Let's move forward to the next one. Right here, who can share their screen and work this one out? What I want you to do is to use a combination of the functions that we have so far covered to count for us how many words are sitting in this particular range. This one is very easy. Why are you passing it? We want you to use the substitute function knowledge that we have shown you. Look through the data, how it is, and just come here and count these words. How many are they? I is 1, left is 2, home is 3, vere is 4, ale is 5. So we expect a 5 here. We count here. Good morning is one word, so I expect a 1 here. How about this sentence here? How many words does it have? 1, why is 1, do is 2, you is 3, want is 4, 2 is 5, use is 6, VLOOKUP and question mark is 7. So we expect a 7 here. Are Excel formulas hard to master? How many words are in that sentence? R is 1, Excel is 2, formulas is 3, hard is 4, 2 is 5, master question mark is 6. So I want a 6 here. So that's what we want you to do. And the last one, of course, is only one word like that. So if I wanted to know how many characters are sitting in this particular text, I can do the len function. And the definition here for the len function returns the number of characters in a text string, not the words. I select the text and close. It only requires one single argument. And you may think it is that small, but again, when you combine it and nest it in other functions, you'll see it helpful. It only requires one argument. It tells you, I've checked your text string, it has 22 characters in it. So these characters that it's counting includes the spaces. The spaces are also considered as characters. Now, if we want to actually count the words, what we need to do is to come in here and say, now that we know there are 22 characters and there are spaces, that is a clue. I can say minus, I want to subtract the entire count of characters from the length of the substituted text function this time, because I want to substitute the spaces. Okay, I can come back to this text and say, please look for the spaces wherever they are, like so, and replace them with nothing, like this. And I can close this from here and close the len. When I hit enter key, what do I get? I get a 4. Altogether, I get a 4. Why? Because I've actually trimmed off the spaces. They were confusing me. Now I count the spaces between the words. And these spaces will give us clue on how many words there is. So once you see that there are 4 spaces separating between the words, then you know that those could be 5 words. Okay? And I can confirm this. If we have 4 spaces, I space, left space, home space, very space. How many spaces are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. So it will tell you that there are 4 spaces separating the words. But again, because we want to consider the last one here, we need to do a +1. That is something that you can, find out as you try to program your worksheet. So I can say +1. This will tell me exactly the number of words. Let us drag this one down like so. And there you go. You can say good morning. It's only one word. My name is Birungi Godfrey. There are 8, but is this correct? We need to investigate. This might be wrong. Do you think that my name is Birungi Godfrey? These are 8 words. We need to examine that. My is 1, name is 2, is 3, Birungi is 4, Godfrey is 5. But we are seeing this particular function that seems to be working very fine is telling us that there are 8 words. Why? Because there are extraneous spaces between Birungi and Godfrey. Are we together? There are extraneous spaces, as you can see. If I get rid of these spaces like so, let me just maintain one space in between, you see it gives us a 5. So spaces are considered to be characters on their own. And once there is a single space between another space, all those will be considered to be words. Now in here, we want to write 3 substitute functions. But again, there are shorter methods of doing this. As we advance, you'll find other solutions where you can write this without needing the 3 substitute functions. Because we have 3 particular texts that we want to substitute, that's why we shall need 3 substitute functions here. So what I'll do, I'll say equals substitute. I open the substitute function. The first one, I will work with this particular text. And the old text that I want to replace is wherever there is basics. I make sure that this one is locked, comma, I want to replace it with essentials. Okay, make sure that this one is locked as well. And I can close this one from here and hit enter key on the keyboard. You can see for the first one, it has actually given us essentials. Wherever it is finding basic, it is actually adding essentials. Have you checked? Wherever there is basic, like this one here, it's now essentials hyphen casserole pans. I don't know how to read these names. Wherever there is basics, it has been replaced. Okay, that's the first one. Now we need to also open another substitute function like so. So I'll say substitute, and then I'll be operating on this particular text. The result of the first substitute function that we wrote will be our text that we are dealing with. Now what I need to do is to come at the end and say comma, and all the text that I want to work with is wherever there is M and S. F4 on the keyboard to lock it, comma, and the new text that I want to replace with this is Waitrose right here. F4 on the keyboard to lock it. I can now close the second substitute function, and when I hit enter key on the keyboard and drag this one down, we want to check wherever there is M and S, like this particular record here in row number 5. We want to check if it changes to Waitrose. Okay, let me just double click the fill handle, and there you go. Can see this one was initially M and S soda chiffon. Now it is Waitrose soda chiffon. Okay, let us introduce the third one. These things are very easy to do. You only need to, understand the pattern. Now we shall be operating on the results that might be yielded by these two substitute functions that we wrote. I can come at the end and say comma. The old text will be CTY KITC. F4 on the keyboard to lock it, comma. I want it to be replaced with kitchen club, which is in E4. F4 to lock it, close, and hit enter key on the keyboard. So do you want to accept the correction? Of course, yes. I'll say yes. And I can now double click and send this one down. Now let us confirm. Do we have any record that had CTYKITC so that we can confirm? CTYKITC, it's now kitchen club, like so. So that's how you can write or nest these three substitute functions together. Now let us look at this replacing multiple words. I want you to replace all these original product names. Wherever there is milk bars, just as an example, because we are saying here that all the text would be milk, we want to replace milk with white. So we expect this one will turn to be white. And then wherever there are bars, we are saying bars should now become blocks. So we expect this one to say white blocks, like so. I'm doing it manually, but I want you to use the functions that we have learned, mix them up with any other thing that you may think of, and come up with that solution. Okay? And the second record here, because it is 50% dark bytes, and we have been given here. So dark, we want to replace it with intense, and then bytes has been replaced with treats. So what we want here as the end result is 50%. Where there is dark, we replace with intense. And where there is bytes, we replace with treats, like so. Can you do this using the knowledge that we have so far acquired? And wherever there is almondo choco, remember I said choco is replaced with candy. So this one will become almondi or almondo candy, like so. I'll show you and introduce you to new functions here. So we shall be combining the reduce function. I believe you haven't heard about the reduce function. We are doing finding and replacing, and it's introducing us to some other functions, but we shall be coming back and looking at these functions individually, how they work. Yesterday, we touched the VLOOKUP example, but again, let's not say that was a VLOOKUP class. For the VLOOKUP class, we shall come back here and understand VLOOKUP from scratch. But as we demonstrate some of these things, they end up introducing us to other functions, which we may not really avoid, okay? So this one requires that you use both the reduce function, the substitute function, the lambda function, and the offset function. Those are the 4 functions that we need to nest together to achieve this particular replacement here. It's quite a little bit complex, but if you understand how each individual function works, then it will be very easy for you to construct. Okay, let us start. We shall start with the reduce function. So I'll say reduce. Of course, you can take time and read. What does the reduce function do? Reduces an array to an accumulated value by applying a lambda function to each value and returning the total values in the accumulator. The definition may seem confusing, but as we work out examples, we'll see how this is working. But again, I promise that we shall be coming back and handling these functions individually, okay? So let us open this one and point over to our cell that we want to deal with, or the text that we want to deal with, comma, and we shall give it an array. So which array do we need to give? The array of all the old words, the old words that we want to replace. So I'll give this array like so. Make sure that it is fixed. F4 key on the keyboard and comma. Now the function that we need to use here is a lambda function. Okay, so this one creates a function value which can be called within formulas. We shall handle lambda functions as we move forward to advanced Excel, but we are just showing you what is possible, okay, so that you prepare yourself. Okay, so this one requires that you determine the parameters and the calculation. So I just pick anything here. I'll say maybe x, y. I'm just determining the parameters here within my lambda function. I'll say x and y, and I open my substitute function here. Okay, it's coming back. All the text, that's the argument. Now, because we're gonna be looking at a range, and we have actually given these parameters here, x and y, we shall introduce them inside the substitute function here, so that the function in total, or the reduced function, looks at this range. Okay, so what I will do inside the substitute function, I will declare the x and y values here, and then I will use the offset function as well. And this one will be referring to the new particular column that we want to replace from this particular column F, which we have actually called Y. So I'll say Y, and then I'll say 0. So what that 0 means is that for the rows, don't move anything, don't move any state for the rows, but for the columns, we want you to consider only one column. So I'll put a 1 here, and now I can close this particular function from here, like so. Make sure that all the functions that we open are closed. The way how I like to do that is to close until I see the black closing brackets, because whenever you're working with formulas and you introduce a function, it will give you the brackets, and all brackets have different colors. If you check through, those colors are not just there for, for formality. They mean something. So you close until you see the black closing brackets, and then hit enter key on the keyboard. So you can see here, we get white blocks. And when I double click and send this one down, like so, you'll see all our old particular values have been replaced with new ones. Of course, this one involves a number of functions you may not really be familiar with as of now, and we shall not dwell much on these functions as we are gonna be covering them in the future. Okay, let's move forward. We have the wildcard characters here. We need to use the wildcard examples here. This is something that we can achieve using the FLASHFILL. But of course, you as an expert in Excel, you have to be inquisitive to find other solutions. Of course, if they asked me right here, I want to extract all the characters after the last occurrence of the hyphen. How would I have done this? Of course, we can use the FLASHFILL to do this very fast. But again, we wanted to test our knowledge that we have so far accumulated using some of the text functions that we looked at, the find function, the substitute function, and the len function. How can we combine them together to, extract from the end or at the right all these characters that are just at the end or the last occurrence of the hyphen. Of course, you can see the hyphen is the one that is separating between this particular text. You can call it a product code, maybe. Just change this one and call it product code so that it makes sense instead of text. So we can do this using the FLASHFILL. Let me just do it here. I'll say E12. And when I come over to the second record here, I can start punching in here N. You see, immediately I start punching in N, Excel detects pattern recognition comes back here. Remember, we talked about pattern recognition. Some of these things, the autofill, this is kind of an autofill. It's actually called FLASHFILL. It's a FLASHFILL functionality. So it works on pattern recognition. So immediately I started punching in N23. Before I actually started punching in a 2, a 3, and a D, it actually did show me this screen here. Please try that on your side as well and confirm. So if I'm actually happy with what Excel is suggesting here using the FLASHFILL functionality, then I can just hit enter key like so, and all these other cells will autofill. There's a shortcut for FLASHFILL. Who can give us the shortcut key for FLASHFILL?
Control E.
Control E. So let us try that one here. I'll just give this particular record here, and then we say Control E, like so. Let me hope that this is clear. Now, how can we achieve this, Shayan Mohan, using the functions? I'll say equals right. I'm using the right function. What does it do? It extracts characters. Let me just read the definition. Returns the specified number of characters from the end of a text string, and that's our interest. Okay, I'll open the right function and come over to the cell address that we are interested in, like so. So if I actually close this one from here, maybe I'll say 3, like so. Hit enter. You can see it gives me E12. That's the right function alone. If I extract down, if I drag my formula down, you can see here, it will not give us, it will eliminate the N. It's actually returning only 3 characters. But because this particular length is different, otherwise, if they were the same, the right function would solve this alone. Now we need to mix in the length, and the length is good at telling us the numbers. Let us restart this. I'll say right, and then I point over to the text that I'm interested in. Now I introduce my len function. The len function, we know why we're introducing it. It's just to tell us the total number of characters in this cell. That's why we are introducing it. So once it tells us the total characters that we have, then we shall subtract, we shall minus, and then we introduce our find function. We need the position. We need to declare the position. So as we declare the position here, we shall use the asterisk to tell Excel that please consider the last occurrence of the hyphen. So how do we say that? We say find, and then we open quotes and put in our asterisks here, just to tell Excel, please consider the third or the fourth or the fifth occurrence of the hyphen which we have identified that separates between the characters that we are targeting. So we shall use the substitute function to do that. We shall say substitute, which character are we interested in? Of course, we shall point to the cell and say we are interested in the hyphen. Okay. Let me hope that we are following, and then we can close our asterisk from here. Then we go back to the len function. Are we together? Inside our instance number, we go back to the len function because we know the len function delivers a specific number. So we go back to the len function and point back to our cell, okay? And then we subtract the len again after substituting the hyphen that we have actually identified in the cell address, okay? Let me just introduce the hyphen here inside the double quotes, like so. Are we following? And then we shall replace it with nothing. Close this particular function from here. Make sure you close until you see the black closing brackets and hit enter key on the keyboard. This one gives us E12. Now, when I drag this one down, let me see. Let me cross my fingers if this one works, like so. There you go. You can see it works perfectly fine. Let's move forward to the search bar. Of course, we are finalizing our finding and replacing. In other instances, you may be required to come up with a search bar. Like we always have that search bar that you use inside Google or in any browser. You search for something. So similarly, we can create something in Excel where we can punch in values and we search through our worksheets. So let's say equals filter. Which array do you want me to return? Of course, I want you to return this entire array of values. F4 key on the keyboard. What should be included? Oh, we are actually defining the criteria itself. So we say we want you to include all values in the first column, F4 on the keyboard to lock it, if they equal to the value that we shall punch in G2. That's what we are declaring inside our include argument. It's as if we are doing a logical test here, which should be either returning a true or a false. This is how we do the logical inside the filter function. I can close this one from here and enter on the keyboard. Of course, this one will give us an error because there is nothing punched here. But if we say agaba like so and hit enter key, this one requires that you hit enter key. It cannot give you as you type. So I have to hit enter key for the value to show up. If I came here and searched for Gole, just as an example, enter, the record will be pulled through. Now let's make sure that this one is completely deleted and then we do it from scratch. I came over to the developer tab and under the controls here, clicked the insert and I inserted an active X control called the search box or text box. Pick it and draw it properly here. You can draw it anywhere. This will become our search area. Make sure it covers the entire cell address because we're gonna be hiding some values behind. Now, after you do that, make sure that you link this particular text box with any cell address of your choice. Of course, we like to hide it behind where the text box is drawn so that someone feels as if they are searching from the actual from the actual search bar. But again, there is a value that is actually showing inside the cell G2. So let us do that. I'll come over to properties, or I can right mouse click and come over to properties like so. So this one will launch the properties of this text box. I can do a lot here in terms of customization, but my interest is to link that text box to a cell in my worksheet. And I'm gonna be linking this one to G2. Let me say G2 because that's where I have placed it, and hit enter key on the keyboard to confirm that the cell link has been activated. Now, if I actually take this one away like so, and maybe exit the design mode and start punching in here something like this, you see, it shows here and it also shows in G2 because that's where we are linking it. That's the use of linking that particular text box to the cell. As you start punching in something, behind it will also be punching in the cell address because our formulas may not really pick the values in this text box. They need to work with cell addresses. That's why we are doing that kind of trick. I'll go back to the design mode and carry it back to the cell address. Now I'll exit the design mode and start punching in here things like so. Now you can only see what is in the text box, but again, there is another value that is replicating in G2. Now we come here and start writing our filter function. I'll say equals filter. I want to filter this entire table like so. So I highlight the entire table and fix it. And inside my include argument, because I'm interested in doing partial text searches kind of thing. As you punch in, it returns values. It suggests the values that contain the keyword. I will introduce the search function and the is number to automate that. But I've demonstrated how the search function works and how the is number works. So let us combine them in one go. I'll do is number and then do the search. Which text are we searching for? We are searching for anything in G2 within the first column of our table. Lock it, and I can close it from here and close the is number as well. And for the if empty argument, I'll say, please, not found. Close this one and hit enter key on the keyboard. Of course, this will return the entire table as it is here because there's nothing in G2, in fact. Until you place something in G2, that's when it will filter out. Otherwise, initially it returns the entire table, which is kind of annoying, but again, we shall introduce the if function to hide it. Now, let me punch here something like Gole. You'll see it shows up like so. If I punch here Agaba, it shows up. Again, this part of the function that we have written here is only picking from only one column. So we are searching based on one column. How do we add these other columns so that if anyone searches maybe for Charles, they will still get the value, or if they search for the country, they will still get the value? We have said we do a simple arithmetic. We just add these columns together using the plus symbol. That's how we combine the entire table to include searching from all columns. So we said in our include argument here, I'll go back to the formula. I will copy the include argument like so and have it in my clipboard. Now I'll come at the end and say plus, because I want to add also last name. Someone can search based on the last name. So I'll just say Control V and change the column address here. I'll change this one to last name. If someone searched using the last name, they should also get the values back. Comma, and I'll come at the end right here and also say plus. I'll Control V, what I already have in my clipboard, and I will now add the third column, which is country. If someone searches from the country column, they should also get the values. Okay, F4 key, then I'll come at the end and include the age column as well. Control V. This one grows a little bit bigger. I need to expand my formula bar. And let me see if I can pull this one aside like so. And this one here, we need to change to the last column. I'll just get rid of whatever is here and change it to the last column like so. F4 key on the keyboard. Now let us hit enter key on the keyboard and see what we get. Now let us test all the columns. I'll start with the first column, first name, Gole. This one works. Let me go to the second column. So Wedi. This one works. Let's go to the third column. Maybe I'll do Kenya. Yes, this one works. So all records from Kenya, or wherever there is a keyword that follows the same keyword that is supplied here, will be returned. Of course, because you are seeing South Africa in the mix here, because of the keyword here that we have for this name here called the Bukenya. From BU, we have something called Kenya. You know, it is almost similar to the country name. That's why we are seeing the South Africa in the mix here. But I believe that one has no problem. We can test now from the age. Maybe I will do anyone who has 50, not found. 55. Yes, we have two people who are 55 years old, and so on and so forth. Okay. And again, we can make sure that this search bar, we can modify it and make it look a little bit nice. So how do we do that? We can come over to the insert here and insert in a shape. Make sure that we can make it look a little bit buttony. And I will make sure that this curves a little bit. Fine. So you can change the how you want. And I'll say shape fill. I'll say no fill. Maybe I can say outline. I give it any outline of my choice. And I can grow this outline like this. And the other thing that I can do, maybe let me duplicate this and add it right here like so. And I can bring in like a symbol that shows this is a search area. Can go back to the insert and illustrations. I go to icons and then look for an icon that represents someone searching. Of course, this one requires that you're on the internet for you to get the icons. I can search for something here. Let me do search. Enter. This one gives me a number of icons. I can use this one here. Feel free to pick any that makes sense on your side, and it will be inserted for you. I can bring it and place it somewhere here. I believe this is like, looks like a search area, the proper one that we are used to. Now I can start punching in here, Charles, like so. Make sure that you design your stuff to look a little bit nice. All right, so we start with this particular worksheet here. We have a staff list, and we're going to be demonstrating basically how do we use the find and replace feature? But again, before we do that, where do we find this tool, or where do we locate some of the tools that help us do finding and replacing? You see, on your home tab, navigate over to the right inside the editing group of tools. So this is where you locate the find and replace. The first option that pops up here is the find. If you're a shortcut person, please Control F on your keyboard will land you into the find and replace dialog box. Or you can do replace here, Control H. These particular options will still take you to the same place where we do finding and replacing. And again, we can also advance and use formulas. When you come over to the formulas here, you locate some of the functions that we might use. We have some of them inside the text functions here that we can use to search and look for some things. The number of them, you can locate wherever they are. We have the lookup and reference here. So remember, we said that we can find something just for reference, or we can have an intent of finding and replacing. Just make sure that you're highlighting the particular column or the particular range of cells that has whatever you might be looking for, and then you do Control F on the keyboard. When you do that, this will launch into the find and replace. And basically, this is the screen that you'll always see. It's quite small. You have the find and also the replace option here. But again, you also have the options button here. So what does this one do? When you click on the options, it expands and shows you a number of other configurations, a number of other settings that you can go through. You can see we can perform a search within a sheet. Everyone knows what a sheet is. Or when you actually click in the drop down, we can perform a search within the entire workbook. So for example, if a workbook has 255 worksheets, we can still do a single search and the tool will go through all the 255 worksheets to try and find what you're searching. We can search by rows, and we can also search by columns. So what does this one mean? What does this setting mean? It simply means which direction do you want the tool to go? Maybe to go this direction, like so, or to move down instead, like this. So when we say you can either do column or row, that is the simple setting that you can implement. Let's go back, highlight our column, and do Control H so that the dialog box opens. You can either do Control H or Control F. Now, our interest here is to go through a simple exercise of finding one of the departments here and replace it with something else. I want to look for wherever there is technical engineering and replace it with engineering alone. So I can punch here technical engineering. Make sure that the spelling is exactly the same. Otherwise, when you do the search, you may not find if the spelling is not exactly the same. Let us just do finding before we do the replacement. So let me just say find all. What this one does is that it will show me all the occurrences where this particular keyword that I punched here are sitting. The beauty is that I can actually toggle through those particular cell addresses by just tapping on one of them here. So if I tap this particular line, you can see my highlight shifts. And below here, you can see the cells that have been found to contain this particular keyword. Now, if I removed everything that we have here and close, and maybe I go back and say Control F, go back and find the same thing, technical engineering, like so. But this time I'll say find next. What happens is that it will move to the next record where it finds this particular keyword. When I say find the next, like so, see, it is moving. Find the next, it moves. Find the next, it jumps. So please make sure that you choose which option works better for you. Can we always use find all, or you can go find next? It depends on what you want. But again, I find this particular option here that displays all the occurrences better, because even if I wanted to delete all these things, I could highlight from here like so, and they also get highlighted in the data set. So if I delete from here, all these particular values will be deleted as well. All right, now let's go over and replace with something. We are renaming our department. Let me just call it engineering. Replace all. Once I do that, I get this notification here. All done. We have made 23 replacements. Feel free to say okay, and then you can close the dialog box. So that's basically how we use the find and replace dialog box. All right, so we said that similarly, we can also look for formats. Now, in this particular worksheet here, we have some formats. As you can see, some cell addresses have different field colors. I'll say Control H, and make sure that this options dialog box is turned on. If you want to search for a format, I'll say replace. Find and replace. What are you finding? If you're going to be finding a format, make sure that in the keywords here, there is nothing. It should be blank because we are not looking for any specific keyword. Our interest is to search for a given format. So you just tap here. No format has been selected for now, but we can select one. We can actually click in the format button itself. This will launch the format cells dialog box. Or if we don't do that, the faster method or the quick one is to use the drop down list here, the drop down icon. So when I tap this one here, it says choose format from a cell, or I can go format dialog box. The easiest shortcut is to use the choose format from cell. Which format are we looking for? And remember, a format can be bold text, can be field color, italicizing, underlining, that's a format, borders, that's a format, font color, that's a format, field color, that's a format. So let us pick this particular field color here. I'll direct it to any of the cells that has that field color, like so. And there you go. You can see the preview here. But I think this was a format that we inherited from a table. That's why we are not seeing the preview. So what I can do to demonstrate this, I will make sure that this one is no longer a table. Or I can come here and remove the format from the table. I'll say clear style, like so. Now let us implement these formats properly. I'll just pick one of the cells here and give it a field color of my choice, like so. I can pick a number of them. Just use our format painter. I double click on the format painter like so that I stay with that particular format for some time, and I can highlight any cell address of my choice that I want to highlight, like so. So that's how easy you can use the format painter. Once you're done, you can press the escape key on your keyboard. Now let us go ahead and replace these formats. Maybe let me just highlight the entire data set from here, then do Control H. The format that we are looking for, let us pick it from here. Say okay. And the format that we want to replace with, let us pick it from here. And then we say find all. I want to see if all the cell addresses are picked. Yes. You can see right now, all the cell addresses that I'm interested in have been picked. Now, when I say replace all, this will replace all the entire rows that have this particular format with a new one. Let us do a match case example here. So we have this table here. We have a smaller data set. For example, if you wanted to replace zeros, sometimes this can create problems with your numbers. So let us do this here and maybe assume that we don't know about the match case setting. I'll do Control H. Let me clear these formats. I don't need them. Then I look for zero wherever you are. I'll say find all first. You can see I'm actually locating 8 zeros. 8 zeros exist in this particular entire data set that I've highlighted. But remember, my interest is only replace these 3 zeros. So if I do replace with nothing, like so, all these numbers will also change. You can see here we have 45,000. After removing the zero, without our knowledge, we have just done a simple replacement, but this is the value that we originally had. So by just doing that thing wrongly, you may end up changing your entire value. So how do we do it the proper way? Of course, is to come in here and say Control H. Zero, we're going to be replacing it with nothing, but again, say match case. When you do match case, then it will only look for where there is a zero alone. If there's any other character just next to the zero, that will not qualify to be replaced. But anyway, let us say replace all, and there you go. It will replace wherever there are zeros. Now, make sure that the find and replace options dialog box here is expanded to make sure that you can make use of the match case and also the match entire cell content.
All right, now we're going to be switching over to the next topic. Please watch the class that is showing somewhere right here on your screen, or you can watch this particular video if you'd like to take your data analysis skills to the next level. Now, I'm going to be meeting you in any of these classes. See you then. Bye-bye.